The Brady Bunch house that we all saw from the exterior was been renovated to become the actual Brady Bunch house. So look how it is. People didn't know that exterior shot, that's not the actual house.
Photograph. It was a photograph.
It was a photograph from where?
From a house. In North Hollywood.
The Brady Bunch may be television's most wholesome family, but behind those perfect smiles lie hidden truths and off-screen drama. What if one seemingly innocent photo from the show exposed a detail that forever changes how you see this classic sitcom? For decades, millions have rewatched The Brady Bunch, drawn to its sunny charm and idealized family life. Yet beneath the laughter were casting shakeups, quiet rivalries, and network censorship that shaped the show in ways few ever realized. It's time to uncover the surprising secrets the Bradys kept behind the camera. The photo that changed everything. There's a particular photo from the Brady Bunch that has been puzzling fans for decades. A snapshot so ordinary at first glance, yet impossible to overlook once you know what to look for. This photo is not a trick of editing or a CGI mishap. It's an unaltered moment captured on set that reveals a curious detail, one that changes the way you view this picture-perfect family. The image shows the Brady family posed as usual, smiling for the camera. But if you look closely, you might notice something that subtly disrupts the wholesome image they always projected. It's a blooper moment frozen in time, yet it slipped into the show's lengthy history without raising many eyebrows. The Brady Bunch originally aired from 1969 until 1974. But its reruns have enjoyed a life of their own on television ever since. Millions have seen the family's joyful interactions, their adventures, and their lessons on love and togetherness. But this one photo exposes cracks underneath the surface, hinting at stories no episode ever told. What makes this photo so compelling is not just the visual oddity, but the way it teases deeper unseen tensions and industry secrets. It's like a snapshot before the curtain falls, showing a family that's almost too perfect. This image challenges viewers to question what they've accepted for years. Was this family truly as flawless as they appeared, or was something more complicated going on behind the scenes? To the casual viewer, the photo might look like a forgotten mistake. But for those who pay attention, it symbolizes the silent struggles and constraints that shaped the Brady Bunch in ways the audience never imagined. It's the kind of detail that remains unnoticed until someone points it out. And once you see it, the memory of the Brady family will never quite be the same. This hidden layer hints at stories soon to unfold about personalities, production challenges, and the complex social rules of television at that time. What's perhaps even more fascinating is that these unseen realities were masked by the show's bright colors, catchy theme song, and upbeat storytelling. The Brady Bunch was an ideal American family, blending two families into one harmonious household with 6 children, a loyal housekeeper named Alice, and even a family dog called Tiger. The photo acts as a silent witness, holding secret layers of meaning between its lines. Yet, this photograph is just a door into the complicated, behind-the-scenes world of the show. Behind those smiles were actor rivalries, creative decisions pushed by network pressures, and cultural taboos that dictated what the audience could or couldn't be told about the characters' lives. In a way, the photo encapsulates these struggles in a single frame, inviting fans to think twice about the perfect image they remember. When the show ended, some of these secrets began to emerge, from awkward on-set relationships to surprising casting choices and storylines carefully rewritten or avoided altogether. That one simple image acts like a lighthouse, drawing attention to those concealed stories. It's a reminder that even the most iconic families on TV can have shadows lurking just off-screen. The mystery behind this photo builds anticipation, hinting that the truth is more complex than viewers expected. It sets the stage to explore how the casting of children, the carefully crafted family history, and the editing of taboo topics all contributed to an image far more layered than meets the eye. This is where the story truly begins, unpacking the layers behind the Brady Bunch illusion. As we delve deeper, we'll discover that every smile in that photo hides its own tale, starting with the very foundation of the family, the children who had to look like siblings to sell the story to America. Casting children who looked related. Casting the Brady children was no simple task. The show's creator and producer, Sherwood Schwartz, embarked on a massive search, auditioning over 464 boys and girls to find the perfect fit. The goal wasn't just to find talented young actors, but children who could convincingly look like they belonged in the same family. This was crucial because the show's premise hinged on blending two separate families into one believable household. If the children didn't look related, the whole concept could have fallen flat. Sherwood Schwartz's dedication to this casting meant that each child was carefully scrutinized to ensure their features created a convincing family resemblance. This wasn't common practice for sitcoms at the time, where continuity of looks often took a back seat to star quality alone. The effort paid off, as the Brady children appeared so much alike that it was easy for audiences to accept them as siblings. Their resemblance gave the show its authentic feel and helped viewers emotionally connect with the blended family dynamic. The casting process, however, was dramatic and surprisingly chaotic. Some of the actors who played the leading roles were to some extent involved in the tensions that were taking place behind the scenes, and occasionally the public got to see some of the drama. To illustrate, the well-known competition between Marcia and Jan was one of the reasons for the rivalry among the actresses playing their roles. This gives the whole family illusion a very attractive and exciting aspect, since the casting was a factor that actually created the conflict among the characters, where the actors had to struggle between being professional and getting close to the real-life situation. The thing that makes the casting of the show spectacular is the mummification of the long process of testing and waiting. Today's TV industry, casting directors usually conduct chemistry tests, but in the late 1960s, casting a vast number of children was a huge challenge. It indicates the creators' confidence in their vision of a believable and heartwarming family. They were not just hiring actors, they were creating an ideal picture of American family life that was very well planned and precisely executed. The determining factor was the children's facial features, along with their acting styles. The producers expected the kids not only to have the right look, but to interact in a believable way. This made it possible to give the impression that the kids were not just actors impersonating parts. They were brothers and sisters who really exchanged their lives in a common world. The outcome was a family whose chemistry appeared to be real. Hence, concealing some of the difficulties off-screen, the cast had to cope with. This meticulous casting was pivotal because the credibility of the Brady family very much depends on veiling these young faces. The audience had to consider these children as coming from two different households and all of a sudden becoming brothers and sisters. The show's success relied on that trust, thus making the casting process one of the most crucial behind-the-scenes efforts. But even this much caution couldn't prevent the viewers from missing small clues that the writers had left, like Carol Brady's maiden name changing, which very subtly indicated the complications in the family's backstory, etc. Most of the audience simply ignored these minute details, while the Brady kids' looks almost convinced everybody. The casting sealed the fantasy, thus permitting the writers and the producers to pay attention to other aspects of the family's plot. As the Brady kids won viewers' hearts, the larger family narrative began to take shape, including the complex decisions made about the parents' histories. That leads us to Carol Brady's past, a subject that reveals just how much the show had to navigate around social taboos and network restrictions of the time. The mystery behind Carol's past. Carol Brady's family history was a topic handled with extreme subtlety and care on the show, hiding something viewers likely never questioned. According to clues dropped during the series, Carol's maiden name was Tyler, which later changed to Martin after her first marriage, before she became Carol Brady. This shifting of names was more than just storytelling. It was a strategic way for writers to hint that Carol was divorced, a reality the network wanted to avoid confronting openly. During the time The Brady Bunch was filmed, the idea of divorce was still considered taboo on television. Viewers were not meant to sympathize with divorced parents, especially when blended families were a new concept for mainstream audiences. Television networks preferred to present Carol as a widow rather than a divorcee, to keep the family's image intact and socially acceptable. This meant avoiding mention of her previous marriage or any indication that her first husband was alive. Writers and producers cleverly worked around these limitations by making Carol a widow, just like Mike was portrayed as a widower. This reading gave the Brady Bunch a backstory that was sad but socially palatable in the late 1960s and early 1970s. Instead of a fresh start after a divorce, the family was presented almost like orphans brought together by circumstance. Critics of the time thought this was morbid, suggesting the show leaned too far into tragedy just to dodge divorce issues. The network's rules reflected the social attitudes of the era. Divorce wasn't openly discussed, and having children out of wedlock was equally controversial. The Brady Bunch ended up towing this line carefully, showing a blended family while masking the reality of broken marriages. This quiet censorship shaped countless plot lines and character interactions, even if viewers never realized it. Behind the scenes, the writers used names and subtle references to communicate layers of Carol's past to sharp-eyed fans without triggering network backlash. For instance, Carol's use of two different surnames was a coded signal of her life before marrying Mike Brady. This crafty storytelling allowed the production to navigate the limitations imposed by television standards without breaking the family fantasy. Carol's mysterious past also heightened the emotional stakes of the show. By presenting both parents as widowed rather than divorced, the series created a narrative where the children belonged to a united family, dealing with loss and new beginnings together. This made the story easier for audiences to accept, even if it wasn't entirely realistic. The challenges of portraying this carefully designed family made for some rocky moments behind the camera, especially with the show's lead actors. On-set tensions and actor rivalries. Behind the warm, family-friendly scenes of The Brady Bunch, tensions often simmered among the cast and crew, especially involving the show's lead actor, Robert Reed, who portrayed Mike Brady. Known for his classical training and strong opinions, Reed frequently clashed with creator Sherwood Schwartz and the writers over scripts and character development. His objections sometimes centered on what he considered unrealistic or overly simplistic storylines that didn't do justice to the family's complexities. These disputes made Reed a challenging but passionate presence on set. Reed's disagreements escalated to the point that he was notably written out of the series finale after objecting to a scene he felt was ridiculous. Although he remained on the set during that last episode, he no longer had a role in the story's conclusion. Schwartz admitted that he avoided asking Reed to leave entirely because he didn't want to upset the children filming around them. This delicate handling reflects how rooted Reed's presence was in the show's fabric, despite the off-screen friction. Interestingly, while Reed often caused behind-the-scenes trouble, his portrayal of Mike Brady was widely praised. In 2004, TV Guide named Mike Brady one of the greatest TV dads of all time, a testament to Reed's acting skill and the deep affection audiences felt for the character. His ability to embody a devoted, thoughtful father offered a grounding force for the show's otherwise light-hearted tone. It's a contradiction that highlights the complex persona behind the on-screen role. Reed's classical training at the Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts in London could be one of the factors that influenced his sometimes diva-like reputation. With professional seriousness rare among sitcom actors at that time, he allegedly found the show's lighter, sitcom-style material below his talents. This resulted in some disagreement with the producers, who expected a more straightforward portrayal and were less open to critical input. Still, Reed's training also supported the development of Mike Brady into a multidimensional character, thus adding shades of complexity that lifted him up from the stereotype of a simple TV dad. The other cast members, such as Florence Henderson, who played Carol Brady, underwent different experiences, but also went through personal challenges while acting. Florence's childhood was very far from the idyllic family she depicted on the screen. Being the youngest of 10 children from a poor family, her journey to stardom was incredible, but she went through severe depression and a troubled marriage during the show's run. Her skill to project Carol's sweetness and motherly care was sometimes in conflict with her off-screen hardships. The pressures of portraying a much-loved television family, along with the actor's private matters, resulted in a difficult atmosphere for many of the cast. The young actors' rivalries contributed to this tension. The rivalry between Maureen McCormick, Marcia, and Eve Plum, Jan, was the most notable. What began as a scripted sibling rivalry turned into real-life tension and made the situation on the set even more complicated. The conflicts are a reminder that the Brady Bunch was not always the happy and harmonious family that the viewers saw on screen. Even some trivial scandals like Maureen McCormick's confession of shoplifting during the series were unearthed among the cast. Eventually, she said she did it not for the purpose of getting things, but rather for the thrill, and she stopped after a friend's incident with getting caught. These events depict how fame and adolescence could unexpectedly clash off-camera. This whole behind-the-scenes complexity was in stark contrast to the Brady Bunch's picture-perfect family image. The actors' personal lives, rivalries, and hardships were mostly not visible to the audience, but they were the source of the energy and tension that drove the show's production. These off-screen tales help us to realize how much effort went into creating the ideal family that was loved by millions. Even beyond personal tensions, the show faced social constraints that meant many realities had to be carefully managed and concealed. Reality versus the Brady image. The idyllic Brady Bunch family that millions adored masked a range of real-life challenges, both on and off the screen. Carol Brady, for example, was the ultimate happy wife and mother on TV, yet actress Florence Henderson faced intense bouts of depression throughout the show's run. She also endured a dry marriage, which she later said contributed to her struggles. It wasn't until she filed for divorce in 1984, a decade after the show ended, that she began to recover and eventually became a well-known relationship therapist. Sibling rivalry, a staple of family life, was very real among the young actresses who played Marcia and Jan. Maureen McCormick, cast as Marcia, was widely considered the pretty and outgoing one, while Eve Plum, who played Jan, often felt overshadowed. According to Susan Olsen, who portrayed Cindy, this on-screen competition fueled tension behind the scenes, making some scenes uncomfortable rather than just scripted drama. The lines between fiction and reality blurred for these young stars. Financial troubles also touched the Brady family in unexpected ways. One of the cast members became embroiled in a court battle over child support payments, revealing how the glamour of the show didn't necessarily translate to personal financial security. Fans often wonder if the actors had Brady Bunch money tucked away somewhere, but real life rarely follows the neat script of a sitcom. Despite their youth and success, the Brady kids faced their own difficulties. Maureen McCormick's shoplifting incidents reveal a side of juvenile impulsiveness and rebellion behind her fame. These actions weren't about wanting possessions, but about seeking thrills, showing that even TV stars struggle with normal adolescent challenges. These experiences don't diminish their performances, but add complexity to their off-screen lives. On screen, Greg Brady had many girlfriends but never landed a kiss, maintaining the show's clean image. Surprisingly, only Bobby Brady, played by Mike Lookinland, got an on-screen kiss, which was awkward and uncomfortable because the girl he kissed was suspected of having the mumps. This illustrates broadcasting standards and actor protections in a time much more cautious about young performers. While the Brady Bunch posed as the perfect American family, network standards limited how real some details could appear. For instance, showing a married couple sharing a bed was still controversial. The Bradys were among the first TV couples to share a single bed on screen, but they weren't the pioneers. Another show had broken that barrier years earlier. This subtle step reflected changing cultural norms, but was still carefully managed by network censors. Surprisingly, the Brady house bathroom had no toilet, a fact often joked about by fans. The real reason was that network rules prohibited showing a toilet on set. This censorship highlights how tightly controlled the Brady Bunch's wholesome image had to be, with even a common fixture like a toilet considered too explicit for TV at the time. This tension between reality and image also impacted the show's later years, leading producers to make decisions that would ultimately affect its legacy and audience appeal. Unexpected network restrictions. The Brady Bunch's clean-cut image wasn't just crafted by the writers and actors. It was also heavily shaped by strict network censorship that influenced everything from set design to storyline choices. One of the most talked-about oddities fans have noticed over the years is the Brady family bathroom, which conspicuously lacks a toilet. While it might seem like a quirky oversight or a running joke about the family's supposed wholesomeness, the real reason is rooted in broadcasting rules. At the time, network standards prohibited showing a toilet on television sets. Executives claimed that including such a fixture violated decency guidelines, making it an inappropriate prop for a family sitcom. This rule led set designers to omit the bathroom's most basic element, leaving a strange but memorable gap that audiences have puzzled over for decades. It was an example of how rigid censorship shaped even the tiniest details on screen. Beyond bathroom furnishings, many themes considered taboo today were carefully avoided or subtly referenced on the show. For example, even though Mike and Carol Brady were a married couple, the idea of them sharing a bed was still controversial in the late 1960s and early 1970s. While many early television shows depicted married couples sleeping in separate beds, the Brady Bunch was one of the first to have the couple share the same bed on camera, reflecting slowly shifting cultural norms. Nonetheless, they were not the absolute first to do so. The 1940s sitcom Mary Kay and Johnny had already depicted a married couple in bed a few years before that. Nevertheless, the Brady Bunch's choice to show this was a quiet, yet important gesture, indicating a slow but steady loosening of the old strict broadcast regulations. It brought to the fore the program's struggle to cope with family realism and the limitations of the time. Network honchos not only limited the physical props, but also the storylines of the show. They were very strict about the content and wanted only the good ones that didn't involve the use of any mature or controversial topics. The issues of divorce, children born outside of marriage, and even the showing of physical affection were completely banned or done in such a way that their impact was very much minimized. So, instead of making the family background and relationships hard to portray, the network decided to make both parents widowed rather than divorced, a choice that was the result of network discomfort rather than creative preference. Nevertheless, the producers took it as a challenge to bring up some of the current problems in a very subtle way, and at the same time, not to go too far. They represented the relations in a blended family and the conflicts that were there, but only in a very light and cheerful manner. This very careful way of dealing with the situation helped the Brady Bunch to acquire the status of a family that was both understandable and perfect, an ideal family pattern molded by the censorship as much as by the storytelling. The attempt of the series to stay within these limits sometimes caused clumsy or strange moments to occur. The strict no-kissing policy on some characters, combined with an odd missing toilet, for instance, offered the audience a few times a look at the struggles between the creative ambition and the network rules. These decisions mirrored the larger cultural discussions that were going on at the time about what was and what was not suitable for television viewing, and what had to be kept private or off-stage. This attempt to turn the tide led directly to the addition of a character whose name became shorthand in Hollywood for a show struggling to survive: the Cousin Oliver effect. As the Brady Bunch's original child stars grew up, the show lost the youthful charm that had initially attracted so many viewers. Susan Olsen and Mike Lookinland, who played Cindy and Bobby, were getting older, and the network worried that without a cute younger child, the show would struggle to maintain its appeal. The solution was to bring in a new character, Cousin Oliver. Cousin Oliver was a young boy introduced during the show's last season, intended to reinvigorate the series and bring back the adorable kid factor. Producers hoped that his presence would reconnect with viewers craving the innocence and charm of earlier episodes. It was a strategic move aimed at boosting declining ratings by revitalizing family dynamics with fresh energy. Unfortunately, the addition of Cousin Oliver did not have the desired effect. Rather than saving the show, critics and fans often point to this period as the beginning of the series' downfall. Instead of feeling fresh and endearing, the character's arrival was seen by many as a transparent attempt to cling to past successes, highlighting the creative challenges the show faced as it tried to evolve. The phrase "Cousin Oliver" has become a term in Hollywood that denotes a character that is added in the last resort to any passing show aiming to attract the audience's interest, a character that usually fails. It is an indication of what a tough task it is to create the same magic again, as the first magic depended on particular cast relationships and storylines. Not minding the negative reaction, the arrival of Cousin Oliver is an indication that the producers were really trying hard to make the Brady Bunch seem as contemporary in the face of changing audience preferences. The gamble they took is like the big picture scenario in the television industry, where shows try to give new life to old characters or change locations to bring back a lost audience. The inclusion of the character, as well as the pressures the networks put on the producers to keep the ratings high, are all but a very slight reason as to why the creative of the Brady Bunch had to constantly work on storytelling, aging of the cast, and the network's demands, a demanding challenge that only a few shows managed to do without going through controversies. Cousin Oliver's presence, although quite short, has nevertheless made an impact that goes way beyond the Brady Bunch, as he has become a symbol of a usual TV blunder and a masterpiece of the art of series longevity for the producers and writers to be well warned. In the end, talking about the show's history, the Brady Bunch's decision to let Cousin Oliver come in is a very moving chapter that shows both the popularity of the show and the difficulties that come with trying to keep that success over time. While the addition failed to halt the show's decline, it didn't diminish the lasting impact the Brady Bunch has had on television and pop culture. A legacy built despite all its hidden struggles and surprises. Legacy and lasting impact. The Brady Bunch holds a singular place in television history as one of America's most enduring sitcoms. Though it began with modest ratings, it grew into a cultural icon through decades of reruns that charmed new generations with its vision of a cheerful, blended family. The show's lasting appeal lies in the contrast between its sunny surface and the complexities behind the scenes. Caste tensions, censorship battles, and personal struggles added depth to what seemed like pure innocence. Yet its warmth and humor endured, offering comfort and optimism during a period of social change. The Brady Bunch, by normalizing the step-family and focusing on the themes of acceptance, compromise, and unity, gradually shifted the way television conveyed American family life. It acted as a trailblazer to many of its successors, and at the same time, it possessed a quality that was always there and still very much in tune with the audience. The impact of the Brady Bunch has been felt at the level of storytelling. The 9-square opening sequence, the sunny and catchy theme song, and the innocent and pure catchphrases have all contributed to the Bradys becoming a part of pop culture. The show has been referenced in music, fashion, and film parodies and reboots, which all prove the huge and lasting influence of the series. The cast, comprising Florence Henderson and Robert Reed as main characters, became familiar to every family. Their private lives were, during that period, very much associated with the family they represented on screen. For them, together with the rest of the cast, the show was a mixed blessing and a curse, depicting fame's duality. Even after a long time since its end, the Brady Bunch remains a symbol of innocence, kindness, and home. The show's optimistic attitude and lightheartedness almost make it a thing of the past as they stand in stark contrast to the dark, complicated stories that today's television is characterized by. It is a reminder that, indeed, not only do the viewers still want the three elements of hope, peace, and love, but they also think of this as a necessity. The Brady Bunch wasn't just a TV show, it was a cultural phenomenon full of hidden stories and surprising truths. From casting secrets to network censorship and behind-the-scenes drama, it's clear this perfect family had its complexities. If you enjoyed diving into these crazy Brady Bunch facts, be sure to like this video and subscribe for more fascinating stories from your favorite shows.